have to say a few words about Andrew Tate. Right. I'm incredibly fascinated by the phenomenon of Andrew Tate. As a psychologist, I love it. This is unprecedented in human history. Like, we've never had, check this out, we've never had a parallel like onto Andrew Tate. This guy is like, just hear me out. I'm speaking about the phenomenon. Not so much, there's the person and then there's the phenomenon. The phenomenon, Andrew Tate, is larger than life. He's larger than the person, Andrew Tate. So imagine we went to early 2022 and I told you that there would be a person who'll emerge who, he's not a celebrity, he's not a musician, he's not an actor, he's not a singer, he's not any known, he doesn't stem from any known stardom. But he will become arguably one of the most influential people on the globe within 6 months. He'll come from nowhere and he will wield so much influence. You would have laughed at me. I would have laughed at me if I told myself this, that's impossible. I mean, look at these great actors. They can't get that kind of influence. Look at these multi-billionaires. They can't, wield that kind of influence. How can somebody out of nowhere within months gain that? But he did. It's wow. And I feel that he is, Andrew Tate is truly living in modern times the life of a medieval king. Truly, like you can't, the guy is living this life of like how you picture kings in the medieval time. Say what they want, do what they want. It's like just living an absolute fantasy of money, assets, whatever victories they want, women, however people want to see it. So, and even kings today can't live like that. Like, you couldn't get a king today that could live openly the way Andrew Tate was living. So it's a very fascinating phenomenon. I also find it interesting how divisive he is, how much hate he evokes in people. It's fascinating. People hate him with a passion. And yeah, I mean, my personal thoughts on him, I think I agree very much with how Joe Rogan said it, that look, the guy speaks, he motivates men, young, disenchanted men. He gets them to get off their lazy behinds and start doing something. And I think that he speaks of male excellency in a time where it was almost a crime and a sin to speak of male excellency. However, he kind of messed up with the misogyny stuff. He messed up with that. And I think he tried to rectify it, but I think it's late, because, and I think Andrew Schulz said it really well about him as well. You see, he said that the guy is a genius and his message actually is very empowering. But the problem is his message really should be aimed at women as well. But the way he packages it, it's indigestible to women. Indigestible. And I absolutely agree with that. I think his message, the misogyny stuff, the putting women down kind of stuff. I don't think he hates women. That's to say he is a misogynist at core, like somebody who just hates women. My opinion is I don't think he hates women. But sure, his character that he plays, this kind of, I don't, I'm this kind of medieval king character, that he's, one whore over here, one whore over there, move these whores out the way, and all this kind of stuff he constantly goes on about. This kind of stuff, it kind of messed him up, because it just, had he just aimed at male excellency, had he just stuck to that, guys, get off your behinds, get your butt to the gym, start making money, focus on you, start, don't be a loser in life, get up. Even his take on depression, people might mock it, but it's actually a very powerful technique from from psychologizing it, where he says, look, I don't believe in depression. And he says, and even if it exists, because I don't believe in it, I don't allow it to get me down. That's a very powerful way of looking at the world. And he gives the analogy of, if a person believes in ghosts and another person, and they're in this big spooky house alone, one of them believes he's in a haunted house and the other just thinks he's in a big house alone, because it does come down to the narrative. So, yeah, I think if he'd just stuck to that male excellency thing, but not gone down this road of trash talking women. But, yeah. But people are so divided over him. It's mad. It's a spectacle to watch, actually. Some people take it so personally. And it is fascinating, though, that how he managed to beat the algorithm and just become everywhere. That is, it's a phenomenon that you gotta be like, wow. Tate the phenomenon is definitely something you have to be interested in. The phenomenon, maybe not the person. The person, I think, can be weird and stuff like this. And about his court case, and then I'll just wrap this. I think that I do hope it's not true. There was something being said. I think it was on Joe Rogan show and on another show as well. I think it might have been Patrick Bet David or someone, but they were saying that, there's people out there who would rather that those horrendous stories are true, just so they can see him go down. Like, imagine, like, here's a thought experiment. Imagine you had the ability to push a switch and make those events be true or untrue. That there's many people would want them to be true, as in women were actually raped and human trafficked, just so he could go down. And that's very telling. And I hope these things didn't happen. And they may have happened. And unfortunately, it's the way of the world, and horrible things happen. And may Allah make things easy for any victims anywhere and everywhere. So, yeah. That said, I do think that this is once again that coming back to that discourse analysis, that him being sent down has very little to do with the crime that he may or may not have perpetrated. I think everybody in their heart of hearts knows that. So him being tracked down is not to do with the crime. The crime is just a pretext and an excuse. That's that much, I think everybody can see. They were in a particular show, they were highlighting that the American embassy was involved in his arrest, which is crazy. But yeah, nevertheless, the person, he's often at times a fool and speaks some ridiculous things, and some things very empowering. But larger than him is the phenomenon, and quite a fascination from a psychologist's point of view, to just see this happening in real time. But I would say, guys, just ease up with the emotions around these people. You don't need to be a diehard fan for Andrew Tate. You don't need to hate him with a venom. He doesn't care. Like, the guy is, and there's a beautiful hadith here that in Tirmidhi, that أحبب حبيبك هونا ما عسى أن يكون يوما عسى أن يكون بغيضك يوما ما وأبغض بغيضك هونا ما عسى أن يكون حبيبك يوما ما. that the Prophet, the message of it is that love and hate with some limits to it. Like, don't go all wild in your hatred towards people. Don't go all excessively blind in your love towards people. That's a very beautiful reminder of a hadith. Um, yeah. So I mean that the U.S. embassy was involved because he's not American. I don't think he's American. I think he said on the other show he's British. I'm pretty sure he is British, as in he was born and raised for most of his life in Luton. Why Luton? Why is it Luton always? You always have these these, I won't say let me retract fascinating. These strange characters emerging from Luton. Right, let's move on. Yeah, he is British. Yeah, he is British. Yeah. Let's move on. And that's just to sum that up, by the way. I'm not saying my only message is to just ease up in the love and hate that we surround symbols by. He's a very fascinating phenomenon from a psychology point of view, and just observe it like that, and just don't worry. People ain't, the world's been here before him, and the world will be here after him.